So to start off the video today, I just wanted to say thank you so much for 300 subscribers. I know we're already at like 341 as I'm recording this, but the main milestone is 300. I mean, we'll probably hit 400 soon, which is insane, by the way. I mean, 400, like, I've tried multiple times to do YouTube, and it's never gotten this far. So I just want to thank you guys so much for all the support that I just keep on getting from you guys. It's insane. I'm so incredibly thankful. Anyways, to celebrate 300 subscribers, I wanted to tell you guys my testimony because, I think it's a pretty special testimony. So here we go. To start, I was born in the perfect situation, a good, loving Christian family. It was the basic kind. We went to church every Sunday. My siblings went to youth group on Wednesdays. My mom would help in the kids ministry, and my dad would help with the check-in for the kids ministry. But here's where I hit my first problem. I was horrible at leaving my parents. I had big time anxiety. It was insane. I hated leaving them at school. I would cry literally every single time. And that was the same with Sundays. I never went to Sunday school because every single time my dad would try to drop me off, I would just bawl my eyes out. I would spend the whole first service with my dad, just talking, hanging out, because he would hang out with one of the church cops, and so I would just, be with them. I think fifth grade year, I probably went to 2 classes out of that whole year, 2 Sunday school classes. And when it would come to the second service, I wouldn't pay attention whatsoever. I would turn around because it was in the back of the room. They had a clock that would tell you when the service would end. I would turn around and I would kind of plant myself in the chair, and I would just look at the clock the entire time, just waiting for service to end. I mean, when I was a kid, I never really cared about religion. I didn't have that desire to learn about God that some of these kids do now. I had a Bible, but I had only really read 3 chapters, the first 3 chapters of Matthew and Genesis. Matter of fact, I hadn't read a full book of the Bible until January of last year, but I'll talk about that later. When I was a kid, even after I technically gave my life to Christ, I say that sarcastically because I never really made an effort to live like a Christian once I had said that I was one. But anyways, I never really had any intention of being baptized at all, or even doing what I'm doing now. I wanted to code games for a living. That was my my goal. So later on in life, we had a falling out at the church because of something that had happened with my mom and her job. We were looking around for churches to go to, and it just never really clicked with us. Well, during this time, my sister was invited to a different youth group at a different church, and she started going every single week. That eventually led us to trying out that church, which eventually became the church that we go to now, and we've been going to for about 3 years, probably coming up on 4. So at this point, I'm 12 years old. I'm still not close with the Lord at all. I didn't own a legit Bible, and I didn't pay any attention during the service at all. I didn't go to youth group or anything. However, my youth pastor at the time had constantly, every single Sunday, would invite me to youth group, which is amazing. But I would always turn him down every single time. It wasn't like a forcefully, like, oh, you have to come to youth group. It was a simple, lighthearted, maybe a funny joke, or he'd play rock, paper, scissors, and if I lost, I had to go to youth group. But I never did. I always turned him down. Well, little did he know that would have planted a seed in my life, a very small seed. It would take a long time for that seed to sprout, but it still sprouted. Now come 2024, I was consistently going to the church with my dad and my mom and my sister. I had bought a Bible, and I was taking it with me to church every week, but I never really did anything with it. I just had it open when the pastor would tell us to turn to like John or Matthew or any book in the Bible. At this point, me and my 2 closest friends at that time had decided we were going to read the entire Bible in just a year. So I was consistently reading my Bible. Well, in February, my sister made the decision to get baptized, but I didn't go up to the tank when she got baptized. But when she came up from that water, something clicked inside of me. It was curiosity, but it was also guilt of not being with her when she got baptized. And I never really said this to anybody in my family, but I felt like I wasn't a good brother, or that I had failed because I wasn't there when she made probably the biggest decision in her faith. And she never said anything to me to make me feel that way, Matter of fact, she told me that she had nothing, there was nothing wrong with me doing that. But it was my own brain that had told me, that was telling me these things that made me feel that way. But going back to the curiosity part, when we came home, I asked my mom what they did at the youth group because she was working in the kids ministry and in the youth group ministry. So she gave me the rundown, and that next Wednesday, I went with my dad to help clean up. I didn't actually go, but I went with my dad to help clean up. But come next week, after that, I made the decision to actually go to the youth group. I think the most comforting part about me going was how excited my youth pastor was when he saw me finally show up. I could see how happy he was that I decided to go after all these years of him inviting me. And my sister was friends with one of my youth leaders, and so she introduced me to my youth leader. I had 3 at that time. She introduced me to him, and we hit it off immediately. We immediately became good friends, and he quickly became one of those people that I could come to when I needed someone to talk to. And then the second week, I was introduced to my absolute best friend currently, and since that day that I had met him, we've been really good, close friends ever since then. Fast forward 2 months, and I decided to get baptized 2 days before my birthday. So on April 28th, 2024, I got baptized. Now, I'm gonna get very vulnerable here. I used to play football, and that was my sense of purpose. That was my thing that I was known for. Because, people have, oh, this guy does that, and this person does this. My thing was football. I was a starting freshman on varsity. I was the only starting freshman on varsity, and I was nominated for a Rising Star. I didn't make the cut for Rising Star, but I was nominated. So I felt this like, oh yeah, like I've got this. This is my thing. Well, the football season ended, and my mental health took a blow. It just came crashing down. I felt like if I wasn't playing football, I didn't serve a real purpose on the earth at all. That's why, if you don't know, I'm incredibly passionate about talking about purpose because I've been there. I know what it feels like to feel useless. And I can tell you right now that it does get better. I'm maybe 15, but I've been through a pretty crappy mental health season. I never even really told anyone either. No one knew I was going through this every single day. Well, fast forward about 7 months, in May, I was on my way to my first ever church camp. I barely knew anybody, and I was already regretting going. Like, I was talking to one of my friends when we were waiting to leave, and I said I was already, wanting to go home. Well, on the second or third day, these two girls, I didn't really know them, started talking to me and my best friend. And as that progressed, me and the other guys in my group started hanging out with the other girls in our grade. And in just those 5 days at camp, I went from not knowing anybody and everyone thinking I was mean, a jerk, because I had a pretty bad I had a pretty bad resting face. It made me look like I was mad constantly, and that I was just some rude, horrible person. Anyways, that turned out, I started talking to those people, and at the end of the camp, I ended up in a group chat with over 20 people. Something transformed me at that camp. I truly experienced the Lord there. That was the first time that I had ever felt the Lord's presence. I went from being unknown to my friends saying that I had a strong, commanding voice in our youth group. Previously, I had surrounded myself with some not the best people to surround yourself with, who'd beat me down mentally because I used to not look this way. I didn't go to the gym. I had a bad haircut. My hair was long at some point. I had a crooked hairline, I'm going to be honest. I was a little on the chunkier side, I'm not going to lie. But as I grew, I fixed my hair, I started working out, and my new friends that I had made from camp had built my confidence back up. All of this eventually led to me quitting football, the thing that gave me that sense of purpose, the thing that, made me gave me that up. I quit football. And I pursued this channel that I'm doing now. And so far, it's working thanks to you guys. I mean, you guys are incredible. And to finish, I wanted to mention my youth leaders I have now. They hold me accountable, but they also mentor me and enlighten me in every way. I've grown so much from having these leaders that I have now. I'm not gonna name drop, but at camp, my leader sat some of the guys down because we went on a morning run, and he had asked us what we needed help on and like what we were struggling with, and he gave us all books from the Bible to read to help us on those problems. So that's why Ephesians 5:14 is my life verse, because my leader gave me Ephesians to read at camp. I cannot can't thank them enough for how incredible they've been as leaders in such a short time that they have been my leaders. So now I'm serving in the kids in my church's kids ministry. I go to church and youth every single week, and I'm running this channel with an overwhelming amount of support from all the people around me and you guys, which is beautiful. I love every single one of you guys. Anyways, thank you for listening to my testimony. I hope that my testimony can just speak to someone, at least one person, and help them. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want. It's not up to me, it's up to you. You don't have to. I don't care if you subscribe or not, it's fine. Anyways, stay blessed, stay amazing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.